As we move forward in our building a Powerhouse, a Black-led nonprofit, I'd like to ask you to assist me in welcoming Susie Schultz. Susie Schultz is an editor, digital strategist, educator, writer, and change agent who has been telling stories for more than 20 years. In 2017, she was named one of the 20 most powerful women in Chicago journalism by media columnist Robert Fetter. Her past titles include managing digital and investigative editor, executive director, associate publisher, president, communications director, reporter, columnist, editorial writer, and her current title is president of Public Narrative, an organization that works with and trains both nonprofits and the media mainstream, as well as 170-some ethnic and community news outlets in Chicago's neighborhood. Schultz's career has won her through the worlds of journalism, academia, government, foundations, and nonprofits. She ran the Chicago Department of Public Health's Communication Department and held the title of Advocacy and Communications Director at the Chicago Foundation for Women. Please help me welcome Susie Schultz.
I'm very, very honored to be here today, and I also held the title of student of Mr. Jackson. He taught me so much. When I was at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, I was outsourced over to the public schools for a campaign that we were doing, a very silly campaign to make the federal government actually allow people who were given free and reduced lunches the ability to be able to say, yes, I could use health care too. It took 2 years to do that, didn't it? And I was lucky to sit at the foot of a political master and watch. So I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful to help. As I was introduced, I've really been a storyteller my whole life, whether it's in media, whether it's in communications, running a federal government office or city government. I worked for a nun in city government, and I worked for a rabbi in federal government just to balance out life, right? And I think what's really important with us is the people that I teach now at Public Narrative. We teach people who have phenomenal stories how to tell those stories just a little bit different for different audiences. Because the reality is we don't always hear one another. We know that, right? We're living in an era where people are not listening. So what is it that we can talk to people about, and in what way will they hear us? When we speak to people, when we stand up in front of a group, I have to say, even standing here today, just before I stood up here, I was nauseous. You know, it's a big, scary thing. And for me, the fact that you are here this afternoon, this has been a long day, it is a huge responsibility that I have 30 minutes of your time. What can I actually teach you, right? So it is a big thing to speak in front of people. And sometimes we think that it's a measure of our intelligence, right? It's a measure of our intelligence that we can stand up in front of a mic and just talk extemporaneously. And that's hooey. It's a measure of our intelligence that we utilize the opportunities we have to speak to people strategically. So we think, we plan, we write, and we figure out what we are going to say. What story will work? What story will you hear? Okay? So we're going to try something real quick. I have to say, I was at my niece's graduation. She graduated from DePaul. 6 years it took, but she did it. And I went into, it's been a struggle, my friends, it's really been a struggle for her. And I went to the trunk of my car to get the sheets that I had put together for you all, and guess what wasn't there? My backpack. So I'm going to talk you through what I want you to fill out. I want you to tell a story. Hello, my name is. That's your first prompt. Hello, my name is. And I work for. Next prompt, you fill it in. Then I want you to go to the next sentences. You know how? And I want you to describe the problem that you solve. going to show you I'm going to do it for you. But you know how, the problem. Well, what we do, what your organization does, what your work is, and how you solve that problem. And then the next line is, I want you to come up with a metaphor. We're kind of like. What are you like? Sometimes when we're trying to get across to people what we do, we need to, all the time, we need to relate it to them. Whether it's a legislator, whether it's a funder, whether it's a client, no matter who it is, we have to relate to them. And so we're kind of like and use a metaphor. And let me show you how I would do this. Hello, my name is Susie Schultz, and I work for Public Narrative. You know how there are so many phenomenal stories in the city's neighborhoods and great work being done, but we don't always hear about it, right? Journalists concentrate on things that are easier, and we just, though that work being done is often invisible. Well, what we do is we go in and not only do we teach people in nonprofits how to tell better stories, we teach journalists who those people are and the work that they are doing and how important it is. We really believe to change the public narrative, the stories have to be about people, not just power. We're really kind of like a bridge between the real world and the world that the media too often portray. So now you have it. So you're going to be writing?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So it's hello, my name is, and I work for. Then you know how to describe the problem. Remember, it's an elevator speech. An elevator speech means you can't go on forever, right? You're supposed to be able to describe your problem in your issue in an elevator. Well, what we do is we're kind of like. And when y'all begin to look up, I'll know that you're done, okay? The metaphor is hard, but if you get the metaphor right, if you really get the metaphor right, you can actually hear people take a deep breath and go, ah, I get you. I get your work. Okay, I'm giving you the 1 minute warning. I know y'all just settled in to where you are with food and drink, but what I want you to do is find somebody you don't know well, okay? Find somebody you don't know well. And whenever I teach, no matter how long I'm teaching, I have 2 rules. And the rules are assume nothing and everything matters. So everything matters. We never, ever take time to really practice communication. I mean, let's think about it. When we do communications reports in our organization, they're usually a report that we read. Nobody actually stops and says, tell me a story, right? What else is going on? What's the good news? We don't always do that. We're in nonprofits, right? We are working harder than most people ever work in their life to help and save people in many ways, help them get things done in their lives. And we don't have enough money, we don't have enough time, we don't have enough resources, right? But one of the most, and I want you to know, you are looking at half right now of public narrative. I am half of public narrative, so I totally get it. But if we really want to move the dime for our organization, we need to adjust a little bit of our schedule to actually practice how we communicate and how we talk and our different speeches. So in this exercise, find a partner. Not preferably the one sitting next to you. So you get up and you move, 1 minute, and when you listen, hold on, before you move. When the person, even if you know the person, when you start practicing the speech with them, the elevator speech, don't just say, well, you know, I'm Susie Schultz, you know, I'm from public narrative or anything like that. Stand and deliver as though this person did not know anything that you were doing, okay? Everything matters. Take that practice, and as a partner to this person, because we don't have time to communicate and practice, respect the fact that this is a moment where you can help. Don't just say, great. You did great, that was wonderful. If they did great, fine. But start by saying what was good, and then move on to, this was great, I got this part, but this part was a little squishy. I didn't quite understand it. I need you to be a little bit more honed in on how you describe it, okay? Stand up, I'm going to walk around and listen, pay no attention to me. I'll go back to the microphone because I know I keep moving away from it. Come on back to your seats. So while you were out there storytelling, who heard a good story? Who heard a really good story? You heard a good story? Right over there? Okay, whose story was it? Tanya? Tanya, would you do me a favor? Would you come on up here and stand and deliver? Yes. Yes, it totally is. It totally is. And remember, the wonderful part about this is that you have a room full of people who support you, who believe in you, who respect you. And so to be able to communicate in front of them and practice, is a gift, okay?
Okay. So the same format as I did earlier? Okay. Okay, hello everybody, my name is Tanya White, and I work for, well, I'm a part of Good Life Foundation. You know how when kids have a disability, they age out at 22. After 22, they have no other resources, so they lose their social groups, they lose advocacy, and they lose all type of the bubble protection they had when they're in school. What I do is I provide those supports to the parents and the caregivers to help them become social, to help them look for employment, and just be a part of society and live a good life. My son just aged out of school, he's 22, and I was really nervous about what he was going to do after school. So I used the resources that I had to make sure that he was employed. He has not one but 3 jobs. He still goes out every other weekend with his group that he graduated from school with, and it reduces the fact of that I have anxiety about what he's going to do. It reduces him being at home, not doing anything, being depressed. And the statistics show that a lot of times when kids get out of school, they sit at home and do nothing, especially when they have a disability. And to reduce all that, I provide resources to the parents as well as structure for the kids so they can still have a productive life and have fun.
So you're kind of like what?
I'm a bridge.
I'm the bridge.
I'm the bridge.
I'm the bridge. I am the bridge.
I am the bridge, yes.
What's your metaphor?
I'm the bridge from when they get out of school to be productive in life. Is that good? Okay. Right. Thank you. Done? Oh, okay.
That was good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Who else? Who else heard a great story? Oh, yeah, now you know. Don't make me call on you, because I will call on you. Okay, okay, okay. Come forward. Yes, right there. So remember, too, in an elevator speech, you have about 30 seconds at most. 30 seconds.
All right. All right, hello, my name is Kellie Fair, and I work for Polished Pebbles Girls Mentoring Program. You know how there's so many girls who are lacking self-confidence, and as a result of that, many of us are able to see that there's a lot of girls in our communities, not just boys, who are having challenges in school. The rising numbers of their disciplinary problems in schools for girls are surpassing any other group, and then the rising challenges that girls are having in increasing numbers and out-of-school confinement are really big challenges too. So what we do in Polished Pebbles is make sure that girls are great communicators at home, school, in the future workplace. They know how to use communication to do basic things like knowing who they are by being able to give a great personal introduction. The other piece is making sure that they're great communicators at home, where a lot of the violence is occurring, at school, where they can solve conflict, and then the future workplace. So what we do on Polished Pebbles is allow the girls to be able to complete job shadows at our partnering businesses like Blue Cross Shield and Microsoft, where they get to put those communications into practice. So for us, we're kind of like removing the school to prison pipeline that's prevalent for boys and now becoming prevalent for black girls as well. And now we're coming to school to the career pipeline for girls as well. Thank you.
Who else? Who else? Yes, you. Young man, come up.
Okay. So hello again. My name is Darius Ballinger. And I forgot how I was supposed to start it. Yeah, let me get my notebook. I wrote it down.
You know how.
So hello, my name is Darius Ballinger, and I work for Chasing 23 Youth Empowerment Group. And did you know that there's a opportunity in the city of Chicago to employ young men of color between the ages 16 and 24 who are reportedly out of school and out of work? And so what we do is we provide a paid work experience and professional coaching for these young men. And we're kind of like the Google of youth services because we encourage failure and we support innovation.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Marvinetta Penn, and I am the Executive Director of Global Girls. Have you ever just been walking down the street and you see a group of girls walking and they're laughing, they're talking, they're all loud, and you turn your head and say, what is wrong with these girls? Well, we are a performing arts girls organization that takes those girls, puts them in our studios, listens to their stories, and then puts their stories on stage, so that they realize just how powerful they are, so that they start believing in themselves. We listen to them, and then we let them know it's okay to be exactly who you are. And they wind up loving themselves. So we empower girls through theater and the performing arts. We teach them how to dance, how to carry themselves, and they start loving themselves. And trust me, they start changing. One of our girls just brought us her report card the other day. All A's. 4 A+ in her honors class. And all the girls, I'm like, I'm taking you to dinner. All the other girls were like, you gotta take me too, because I made straight A's too. Yes, hunty, that's what we do. Yeah. We're like, have any of you ever seen the Andy Griffith show? No, you're too young. Look at him. There is a guy on the Andy Griffith show named Gomer Pyle. And one day somebody asked Gomer Pyle to sing. He has this amazing voice. But looking at Gomer Pyle, you would never think that. That's how we think of our girls. You look at them, you think one way, but once you ask them who they really are, you see that they are these beautiful Gomer Pyles on the inside. Thank you.
Who else? Anybody else? How about one more?
So hi, my name is LaKendrick Williams. I am the Executive Director of Windy City Cares of the National Cares Mentoring Movement. In short, the National Cares Mentoring Movement is like the Boys and Girls Club on steroids. You know, with the exception of creating activities for students within the community of Chicago, we recruit able, stable, and caring adult mentors to serve those youth. Thank you.
What are you what's your metaphor?
It's like the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, I'm serious. I got it. Just one more, and then I'm going to talk a couple minutes.
You said you were funny.
I did. I warned you.
Yeah, to really be honest with you, I really didn't want to share this, but no, I'm going to do it because this is a personal passion of mine, and so it's not actually what I do. It's just a personal passion of something that I would like to do. Okay. Hello, my name is Sharonda Hudson. What I do is I drive for Uber and Lyft. That's what I do. I work for money and God. So that's personal. And you know, I'm tired of seeing our black men dying and being incarcerated. What we do is protest about it and sometimes retaliate. We're kind of like numb to it because it's been going on for so long. And I want to stop it. That's what I have.
Okay, what do we remember from what we heard? Just say it out loud. Say it. Pain. What else do we remember from all the stories we heard? Passion. Passion is so important. Passion is so important. You know, what's really important about what this teaches me when we start when we start a class with this or training with this is the amazing people that you have in the room and the phenomenal stories that they have and the work that they do. And I think when we start our work in nonprofits, we have to start with that passion, right? Or we would never, open the doors. We would never keep going on those 18-hour days, right? And I think when we move to our foundations asking for money, other people asking for money, sometimes, how many of you have filled out a grant form? There ain't nothing passionate about filling out a grant form. All the passion goes right from the room there. And as much as I respect and appreciate that everybody who's going to give you money needs to know things, I think what we do is we pivot from our passion to these words that the foundations ask us to put together, and we never go back to include the passion back again, right? We never bring it along with us, along with our numbers. It's really important to have numbers to tell our story. It's very important. But it is really important for me to know how much you believe in what you're doing. So you need to first bring passion. 2, you need to bring a good story. A lot of what I heard today is what I often hear when I ask people first to speak. Sometimes we do a storytelling clinic that's about 3 hours, and we move you through this different ways to tell stories. And by the end, we have switched, and thank you so much for giving that last story, because we've asked people, instead of telling me what you do, telling me what your programs are, telling me your projects, telling me how you're set up, you start with what you believe in. What I believe is a story has power. I believe I can change the public narrative on racism, sexism, xenophobia, and anti-Semitism. That's why I do what I do. Because what we know is that for the most part, people don't really buy what we do necessarily. They buy who we are and what we believe. And if our beliefs are strong enough, then they're going to go with us and buy what we do. So a good story has passion in it. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it has character in it. So many of you I know, could actually, instead of telling me about the programs you're doing, tell me a story of your work through one person. How did you change one person? And if you can find the one person, which I know you can, and tell their story with great respect and with great detail, that could tell me everything about who you are. The point of an elevator speech, and I am the same way, I do the same thing as all the nonprofits I teach, which is I start giving an elevator speech and I want you to know everything. I want you to know everything I do because I spend so much time doing it. I earn no money for doing it. I am passionate about doing it, and you must know it all. And the reality behind an elevator speech is I want somebody to say to me, tell me more, right? I don't want to tell them everything, but I want to give them a taste. So if you can say, let me tell you the story, let me tell you what I do, and I'm going to tell you why I do what I do. It's because of John. It's because of Joan. It's because of Henry. It's because of whoever. And what you did for them. I was teaching a gentleman who works on the West Side in a high school program, and what he said is, why I do what I do is I do it for Janetta. And I do it for her grandmother, who spent hours scrubbing the blood off of the sidewalk in front of the house so that she wouldn't have to see it when she went to school. Now that's an image that unfortunately too many people understand, can relate to, and will stick in their heart. If you can start painting with your words a picture that has, again, a beginning, middle, and end, and a character and an emotion, then you're going to have me asking, tell me more. Tell me more. And our stories are so important, being able to actually translate the work we do, the people we see, whether it's to Mr. Williams, who was talking about legislators. So many legislators I've talked with say, people come and they start yelling at me and they tell me what I need to do. and it's amazing. Sometimes when I hear a good story, it moves me more than anything. So all of us are really moved by storytelling. Our brains are actually wired to hear stories. If I were to tell you that this morning my husband got up early and he started making this wonderful thick bacon. It was so great. I just opened my eyes. Oops, I'm almost done. I opened my eyes into that wonderful smell, and I could hear it bubbling in the pan, and it carried me into the kitchen, and as that bacon came out of there, I knew that it was going to be a great day. So I know now, you know what's going on in your brain? Bacon. 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 So there's a part of your brain that processes all the olfactory information, all your smell information. And right now, the minute I started mentioning bacon, it started igniting. When I'm standing up here, you know, we love to talk about how contentious a society we are and how different we are. When I am standing in front of you and you're listening to me, the reality is our brains are actually wired to hope you succeed. You are hoping I succeed. Maybe you did not want to show me that when I walked up, but we all want somebody in front of us to succeed, and we want them to help us and to move us forward. Our brains are wired that way. We start looking at somebody originally, and first we try to see what? When a kid is born, what do they try to see first? What? They look at each other and they say, you've got two hands. I've got two hands. You've got a nose. I've got a nose. He's got glasses. What's his problem? Right? They look and they find how we are alike. As we get older, we look at each other first for how we are different. But if you tell a story that brings me along, again, with the character, with the emotion, and this is what a lot of science tells us. If I want to act and do something for your organization, it may take me anywhere from 8 to 12 touch points. In other words, somebody tells me about the organization, I maybe read something about it, I maybe go to an event before I act. Because we're a little bit skeptical too, right? But if you tell me a good story, those 8 to 12 touch points melt away. And instead of looking at you and seeing how you are different from me, I make a heart-to-heart connection with you. And I know that we are aligned in what we believe and what we need to do. You may be doing it this way, I may be doing it that way, but we are aligned. So we need to be able to talk about not only what we believe, but show it through the people we work with, to be able to bring our work alive to the people that we are trying to show, whether it's funders, whether it's politicians, whether it's newspaper people or news organizations. And the more we hone it, the better we are with it, the better it's going to be when somebody asks us. Because communications is not about a moment. So in other words, I'm preparing my communications because we're doing something in a month. I'm preparing my communications because we have an event coming in 2 months. Communications is every day. It should be in your DNA, right? But tell me, if you raise your hand here, I will be shocked and surprised. Who of you who had an idea for your nonprofit said, and the first thing I'm going to do is hire a communications person, right? No one. Oh, I love you. You're my kind of guy. Because we do not realize communication is not only in our fundraising, right? That's our top goal, right, to raise funds. It's in our strategic planning. It's in our, bless you, it's in our board development. How many of you have ever gone up to somebody who you wanted to be a board member and said, and then they followed you, right? You have to persuade, you have to talk, you have to tell them what you're doing, right? It's in our leadership development. We follow people, we follow leaders because they can communicate their vision. And if we spend a little bit more time working on it, putting some brain time to it, practicing it, then we can be as well part of that leadership, part of that getting the board development and getting the money, and also getting the stories. So we teach storytelling, any type of communications, and we are mission driven. So at any point, I also left majority of my cards with those worksheets. But I have about 4 of them, and you can take a picture of them. If you call me, we do anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 worth of pro bono work a year. We're a small organization, but again, mission driven, and our mission is to make sure that the stories that need to be told, the stories of what people are doing, are elevated. So at any point, you want to call me, I will help you. I will come to wherever you are. I will work with your organization. I will work with your people. All I ask is that you smile at me and maybe give me a cup of coffee. And I will help you develop any of the stories that you need to develop. Okay?